Algebra One-Step Equations with Multiplication and Division. This is a digital lesson, and it starts with explaining to students that an algebraic equation has an unknown, so it's going to have what we call a variable, and we need to solve for the variable. So we need to rearrange the terms of the equation so the variable is all alone on one side. And we're going to do this using addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So then it explains an equation is like a balance scale. So you can see the picture here. And the two sides have to stay balanced. So whatever you do to one side of the equation, you have to do exactly the same thing to the other side to keep it balanced. So the key is to isolate the variable or get the variable alone on one side. Now, students on slide 6, they're going to be moving these terms into place. So after you've gone through the first 5 slides, they're going to just click and hold on the edge of each of these and put them in the correct place in the sentence frames. So the unknown value in an algebraic equation is called a variable. Just a review of what you just went over. So they click and hold on the edge, and then they can just move that into place. And then they're going to do that with the other 3 terms also. Now I'm going to start with multiplication, and it gives an example of how to isolate that x. So we have a 3x. We want the x to be alone. We're going to do the opposite operation. So this is multiplication. The opposite operation would be division. So if we divide by 3 on both sides of the equal sign, we'll get the answer x equals 3. Now, if they want to check and see if their answer is correct, all they need to do is take their solution and put it in place of x in the original equation. Then starting on slide 9, students are going to be typing in the text boxes to solve these multiplication problems. So the first one is done as an example. The second one, 5y equals 25, so they're going to divide both sides by 5, and that will give them y equals 5. They're going to do the same thing on the other problems. They've got a few more to practice, and there includes some negatives. And then students are going to do a couple problems where they're going to test their solution in the original equation to see if it works. Then we're going to move into division. So again, we're going to do the opposite operation. So if they're dividing by 4, the opposite would be to multiply by 4 on both sides. And when you do that, the 4's cancel each other out because 4 divided by 4 is 1. And that gives you 1x equals 12. So students are going to be doing that on the next slide also. The first one is partially done for them. So in order to isolate the x, they have to multiply both sides by 7. And that will give them x equals 21. They just type in the answer. So they've got a few more of those to practice, some with negatives. And then they're going to do a problem here where they check their answer. They're going to put their answer in place of the variable in the original equation. Now, when they get to slide 17, now they're just going to be dragging and dropping the opposite operation. So it just reinforces for them that that's what they have to do to isolate the variable. So here we have to divide by 8. So they're just going to click and hold and move that next to the problem that matches. Here we're going to divide by 5 because that's the opposite operation, and so on with the rest. And then on this final slide, they're going to use the line tool. They're going to match an equation with its solution. So you want to instruct them to come up here to select line. They're going to click on line. That'll give them a line with 2 blue circles on each end. If they click and hold on the blue circle, then they can move it where they like. They can play around with this. They can change the color of the line. They can change the thickness. They can just make it their own. So if we click and hold in the blue circle, we're going to match this with -7. And they're going to do that with all of the others also. So nice work on one-step equations, digital lesson.